Neil Bennett, you're a partner at Farrells and an expert in, I suppose, how we deliver cities of the future. We're here at Base talking about London. To kick off with big challenges around London with population growth. I mean, how do you see London? What's the vision as far as you're concerned for London to meet the needs of the future?
I think the first thing is what's the vision for London? What do we have a commonly held vision for what London should be in the future? I fear that it's becoming very bipolar in all kinds of ways. I've seen this phrase, the squeeze middle, get used in regard to social structures, but I think that applies to all aspects of the city, through culture, through its physicality, through everything. So I think that there's the need for a commonly held vision about what we want our London to be. I totally applaud the Mayor's 2050 infrastructure plan, which is, I think, the first time that we've seen a political leader work at a time frame that far out. It's going to be broadly correct, it's going to be sometimes wrong, but the fact that we're thinking like that, I think it is really the good way to do it, I think.
And that's thinking where you're bringing in housing, you're bringing in transport, energy, everything. But I suppose at the heart of it is people. People is where you start.
Yeah, I think it's people, and I think the other area that we're missing in the debate is actually how we provide the jobs for people. And so from that comes how we provide workspace for them. What will the workspace be of the future? We've seen the digital revolution not quite produce the outcomes that we thought would happen. If we're being told that everybody will work from home or from their back bedroom, do we have digital infrastructure to support that? Will people actually do that? Right. I don't know. Are we missing out on the social side of cities?
Yeah, I suppose, will people have anywhere to live? Because one of the key things that's come out of today is housing. You know, where's the housing coming from?
Well, then, practically looking at it spatially, it's fairly clear that London will be under extreme pressure. London today, and there's a number of points from that. I think that most of the extra houses will come from the small sites on the end of your street, and not from the bigger areas.
Oh, right.
And that's how the maths work. And the challenge of delivering lots of small things is going to be as big as the challenge of delivering a few number of big things. From that comes, I think, our politicians will have to lead the debate about certain of our planning maxims around London. What's the future of the green belt? Do we want to keep it? If we do, then we have certain implications from that. We know also that, I think it's fairly well agreed, that all substantial future development should be around transport corridor, transport hubs. And we wonder aloud at Farrells whether in fact we should be looking at producing green corridors rather than a green belt. Right. Whether in fact it's time to take another look at the green belt, come up with the same output, the same high quality external space around our city, but do it in a different way. Because
the panel you were on, of course, was all about fresh thinking. I mean, I wonder, are we guilty when we're thinking about how London develops of trying to create perhaps more efficient versions of old thinking rather than trying to actually develop new models?
I think that's probably right, and I think that we also have to think about London in a different way. The economic unit is much bigger than London. It's actually the southeast, it's the fields of Kent, and it's also places like Birmingham, which I think are becoming, if you like, in time terms and travel distance terms, or almost suburbs of London. So I think we have to think of our cities in a different way. Right. London isn't a standalone metropolis anymore. It's part of a network, and it's actually part of a global network. And I think if we don't think in that way, we stand, we're going to run the risk of London not being a world city in the next 20 years.
Yeah, but I imagine that people in Birmingham would resist the idea that they're a suburb of London, so perhaps in different phraseology.
Well, I'm from that area, so it pains me slightly to kind of say that, but I think network thinking and thinking about how far places are away from each other, it should be maybe the new way of mapping how we think about London. Yeah. There is no doubt that certain places through the country will become subservient to this ever stronger world city that we have here.
Places like Old Oak Common, been talked about as being, new major development areas. I mean, do you see that becoming the next Canary Wharf or the next Stratford area?
Well, at Old Oak, we've long been thought leaders for, and I think I coined the phrase actually that Old Oak in scale terms was the same as Canary Wharf. I think that Old Oak does have that capability, if only we can bring together our thinking across the transport piece, across the economics piece, and across the political vision piece. It comes down again to what is Old Oak coming for, and so I think there's a great opportunity there. 1/7 of all of London's future jobs and homes will be at Old Oak. It's too big to get wrong.
So, mayoral elections are coming up 9 months' time or so. What's your advice? What's your big challenge for the next mayor?
I think it's joined up thinking across everything. There have been lots of political leads about which are improving housing demand. There's not very many which are talking about housing supply. Same thing with jobs, same thing with transport. And I think showing the ability to actually join up all of those pieces of work, look at the small scale, deal with all the end of street housing sites, deal with the big scale, the big opportunities like Old Oak. It's a big ask, but I think it's not unreasonable to expect our politicians to come up with it.
Well, the challenge is out there. We'll see what happens. Neil Bennett, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.